He has 15 years of IT industry experience with specialization on cloud, majorly focusing on IaaS and PaaS, which stands for infrastructure as a service as well as platform as a service, and also pre-sales experience in various geographies and market segments. His specialties include Google Cloud, AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, Oracle Public Cloud, PaaS, IaaS, Hybrid Cloud, Cloud Security, Oracle Identity and Access Management, Oracle Database Technology related products, SAP databases, SAP HANA, and more. That's quite huge. In today's episode, let us get Pritam Sahoo's insights on great databases drive successful applications and successful businesses. Hello. Hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series. The Guiding Voice for a better future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. In case if you have tuned into our podcast for the first time, you have missed a lot of stuff. But don't worry. All our previous episodes are available on your favorite podcast listening platforms, including Amazon Music, Spotify, Ghana.com, Castos, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Not only that, we are also available on YouTube. Also, if you haven't rated our podcast on Apple, please provide your rating and leave a positive review. Because every rating and review will motivate us to bring in more and more useful content to you. This is your host, Naveensamala, and I have about 18 years of rich and diverse experience in the IT industry. In every episode, we interact with industry experts or thought leaders or academicians or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help each one of you learn some amazing stuff. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. So stay tuned till the end. You'll acquire more knowledge per every minute by tuning into TGV than any other podcast in this space. Thank you so much for tuning in. And folks, today we're going to discuss a very important topic. Great databases drive successful applications which lead to enterprise success. And we're pleased to have Pritam part of TGV's journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Pritam, welcome to TGV.
Thanks, Naveen. It's a real honor to be part of this initiative, and I really appreciate you inviting me to the show and share my thoughts. Looking forward to have a great discussion with you.
Absolutely. Pleasure is mine. And thank you again for being part of TGV's journey. So, Pritam, let us begin the show. Maybe you can talk very briefly about your career journey and top three things that have helped you so far.
Naveen, like I have worked across 15 years plus in the IT industry in diverse technology segments. In SAP technologies, the world of Oracle technologies, and of course the cloud, which include AWS and now currently Google Cloud. And if you ask me like what are the top things which has helped me so far, it's have been three or four things honestly. It's primarily I'm a strong believer of constant learning, which helps me upskilling and keep up to date. And I'm a very hard worker, honestly. And because I believe that forms the foundation stone for any successful learning. I am a self-motivated person, and of course, I believe there is no plan B. If there is a failure, focus on that and try to find out what is the root cause of that failure and try to improve on. So these are the three or four things apart from my strong support from my family members has helped me so far.
That's amazing. In fact, you have been very crisp and all the three, four things that you have mentioned, strong believer of constant learning, which is very, very important. And at the same time, there is no replacement for hard work. People say that first work hard and then the luck follows. I also strongly believe in that. And in addition to that, you also spoke about the self-motivation because we got to be motivated by ourselves. If we believe ourselves, then people and then the other people will also believe in us. Thank you for sharing those amazing insights, talking about the core topic today. Like how are these databases helping the businesses and all? And before we jump into various offerings and all, just focus on the types of databases that are available in the market.
Thanks, Naveen, for the question. And let me start with the interesting quote. Behind every successful application is a great database. An application can go anywhere where the data resides because it provides the stickiness to the application toward the platform. And talking about database, honestly, to me, after spending 12 years in the industry, in the database world specifically, out of 15 years, there are twofold. One is the relational database, and primarily which has been there for a long time, typically focused on operational or transactional aspect. And these are Oracle, SQL Server, Postgres, or MySQL. With the advent of big data, something interesting happened, right? How to handle unstructured data, semi-structured data, and all those things. So that led to the world of NoSQL data. And in NoSQL world, you will see different variants as well. Something like columnar databases, NoSQL databases with focus of key value pair, document-oriented databases, graph databases. So these are evolved, and each of these platform is evolving to accommodate additional functionality to keep competitive in the market. So primarily twofold: relational databases, which has been there, and the other part is primarily NoSQL. But people would say, okay, we have also cloud databases, but cloud databases have born with the world of best of breed of NoSQL and SQL databases. They have taken the best in class features and try to evolve with cloud, because cloud can provide you a lot of flexibility and functionality at ease. One can get started on database world.
That has been very insightful. You covered both the aspects of relational and non-relational. I think right now the unstructured data and semi-structured data is something ruling the world, right? All right. So let's move on to the next question. What Google Cloud offers in terms of meeting the different database requirements? Can you shed some light around it?
Sure, Naveen. If you look at Google Cloud, it caters to all the aspect the customers or users or developers rather also looking at. So if you're looking at an in-memory service or caching layer, some which people call it for to improve the application performance with a low latent access to the database, we give you cloud memory store. It's a compatible managed service if you're looking for Redis and Memcache type of a offering. Typically very handy in gaming and high transactional oriented database to improve the performance. That's the one aspect. But relational world, we give you two pieces. One is your managed service with Cloud SQL. Cloud SQL is a managed service which gives you all the flexibility power of managed service, where you can tackle the requirements of if you have MySQL, Postgres, or SQL Server. Plus, one of the cloud native database I would like to introduce is about Spanner. So Spanner is, we call it new SQL, because it brings not only the best in class capabilities of relational databases likes of Cloud SQL, but it gives you something capability of NoSQL, something like horizontal distribution. We call it sharding in the world of NoSQL, because typically that gives you the massive scale, plus the online way of to change the schema without downtime and much of these capabilities. And Cloud Spanner has got 5 nines of availability. That means literally 3 to 4 or 5 minutes max downtime in a year. So this is what in the SQL world. And NoSQL world, we give you again the serverless offering of document oriented databases like Cloud Firestore. Very useful if you are trying to build mobile or web apps, and it's popularly used by the developers as well. And the other one is Cloud BigTable, something very unique in the world of columnar wide column store. Typically NoSQL database it is, and being NoSQL, it can handle easily key value. But the best part is it provides you high throughput, low latency, and it can tackle millions of requests per second. And if you are not aware, this database BigTable has been powering the likes of our consumer side of products from Google Cloud or other Google, likes of Gmail, Search, Maps, to name a few. And of course, we have a data warehouse offering with BigQuery, and our strong strategic tech partners. Typically, if you're looking for something unique like MongoDB Atlas, Graph Database, we have a tight integration with them so that we can meet our customers' requirement wherever they are in the journey to cloud, or they're looking for a tech partners on Google Cloud.
That's very huge. Like you touched upon the OLTP part of it, the online transaction process, right, with regard to the database and all the options that you have mentioned, like Spanner, Cloud File Store, and all. So, audience, all the links related to the databases that are mentioned by Pritam are available in the show notes. So, definitely you can go through them and reach out to the concerned Google representative in case if you need more information. Of course, you can connect with Pritam on LinkedIn as well. His profile is also listed out. So definitely he would be willing to extend his helping hand in terms of you understanding or picking the right technology. Pritam, when we spoke, so far we have covered this OLTP part of it, right? Now let's switch gears and talk about the OLAP, like data warehouse and data mining part of it. Like, are there any data warehousing options that are available on Google Cloud?
Yeah, Naveen. So I slightly touched on BigQuery. So BigQuery is one of the most liked product by our customers, developers, and users. So it's primarily a data warehouse and data mart use case type of a scenario, where it provides you completely serverless, and user can focus on more of a data and drawing insights from the data warehouse options like BigQuery instead of focusing on patching, operating, and all the mundane infrastructure work. So BigQuery is our literally we call it planet scale serverless data warehousing offering, completely serverless as a result, and also it brings the low cost approach for our customers to get started in. And what are the capabilities? If you look at being serverless, as you know, the world class features comes in with the ease of management, right? And the second piece is like the compute is separated from the storage. So what it means is if your storage requirement is scaled high, but if you believe the compute capacity can be same, no such hard binding. It can scale independently of each other. And the best part, we talked about AI ML, right? So what if we give you the power of AI ML using just SQL queries? And these SQL queries are ANSI standard compliant. And anybody knows SQL query, they can still build AI ML model instead of learning all the fancy languages I would like to call something like the R's of the world or Python and start writing. If the user is willing to write the SQL queries and get started with any of the linear regression, logistic regression, or even import any of the TensorFlow models, you can easily get started. And of course, coming to today's scenarios of data warehouse, it's no longer batch data. It's also about the streaming data, real-time data, right? So that's one key differentiator BigQuery can help you get started. And of course, we know nobody likes to get a stale report. How to get faster report with a real-time access to the updated data. It gives you BI engine as well. And if you look at data warehouse, it also requires geospatial support. BigQuery has those. So if you look out the bunch of these capabilities, it makes it really unique offering. Plus, Google Cloud gives a unique way to start from all the different tenants which is required in a data warehouse environment, right? Right from ingesting the data, we give you tools on that, how to do ETL or transform the data, process the data even before it lands into the BigQuery. That is also taken care of with Google Cloud. And then how to draw insights the data. We give you free tools for simple reporting and dashboard like Data Studio for anybody on Google Cloud or Google as well. And if you look at enterprise BI platform, we give you Looker as well. Customer can get started on that, or if they have any tools of their in this choice, right from ingestion to drawing insights and using AI ML models, they can also plug into our platform. So we call it a smart analytics platform because it has got a lot of capabilities. Although data warehouse, data mart holds the centerpiece, but there are a lot of moving field things around the data warehouse and data mart type of scenarios. That's the reason we give you all the flexible options so that your approach, whether you are doing a migration from the legacy Teradata of the world or so for similar use cases, or you're trying to build something cloud native as a data warehouse or data mart, you can easily get started without friction and all those hiccups easily with Google Cloud BigQuery.
That's massive, actually. Like, I'm impressed by this AI ML powered sequel that is going to really revolutionize the industry, right? And Pritam, a while ago, when we spoke about the overall databases and all, you touched upon this BigTable, which is actually powering the Google Mail or the Gmail search, etc. Can you shed more light about it, like how this Google Cloud BigTable is going to operate and what are various use cases for the businesses, maybe small, medium, and large scale enterprises, how they can leverage?
Thanks, Naveen, for this question. So BigTable has been powering our consumer side of products, like you rightly called Gmail or search or maps or something on similar lines. So BigTable is a fully managed service. It helps you get started for large operational as well as your analytical style of workloads. And it gives you 5 nines of ability again. So the interesting use cases which you can get started with BigTable is typically for ad tech or fintech or gaming scenarios, even retail industry scenarios where fraud detection model is one of the use case you see popularly, right? And plus the benefits you can get is being fully managed. It again, you focus on your data and all those aspects. Plus, if you're looking for a high throughput, low latency, sub 10 millisecond type of a response from a database, and plus millions of requests per second, Cloud BigTable is your platform to go, which is nothing but particularly it's a NoSQL wide column store key value pair of database. So the one use case I would like to highlight is typically around the world of IoT. So IoT, if you look at, there are a lot of diverse data like semi-structured, structured, unstructured data rather from globally distributed devices in lines in various parts of the world, right? So what we can do is typically we suggest an entire pipeline where you start ingesting the data and typically the real-time ingestion of data, you need something like messaging service. We give you fully managed messaging service like a PubSub. If you are aware of Kafka but you need a fully managed service, PubSub is the way to go in Google Cloud. And then once the data is there, you can easily process the data with Cloud Data Flow. Again, very handy solution which has been completely serverless as well, which helps you process the data real time which is your streaming data, as well as batch data as well. And then push the data in BigTable, or might be in the cloud object store, which is your object store, we call it GCS. And then you might have an application hosted on virtual machines, we call it compute engine, or you might be having on Kubernetes. Again, Google has invented and it explored and gave it back to the community, right? And other cloud vendors even adopted it, right? So this is typically a pipeline you see right from the ingestion with PubSub, process the data flow, or might be any other service of your choice on Google Cloud, and then push to BigTable to store it, and then being accessed by the applications. It can be very simple, might be looking at, but there are a lot of customers who are using BigTable because of its high throughput, low latency, sub 10 millisecond response, and the speed, reliability, and the scale it can provide.
Sub 10 milliseconds performance is something which everybody desires, right? Yeah. Similar to how we get results on the Google search engine. Quite exciting. Yeah. Thank you for sharing those amazing insights. So Pritam, now let's talk about these database migrations. Okay, be it with regard to the homogeneous or heterogeneous scenarios and all. In case if somebody is planning to migrate, I'm giving you a hypothetical scenario. If it is relevant, you can cover that, or else you can cover something generic around the database migrations. Let's assume today I'm on my on-prem database, okay, and I want to move to any of the databases that are offered on the Google Cloud. Like, how can I approach? Or you can pick up any general scenario and shed your light on that.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Very relevant question, Naveen. So if you look at, there are different aspects. So everybody has aspiration to get embarked on the cloud databases, right? But there has to be a proper planning and structure and framework to this, right? So we typically follow, and all our Google database specialist team follow as well. So we do it right, start from the discovery and assessment, try to understand the IT landscape. For example, if any customer has got MySQL, Postgre, or SQL Server, or might be any other commercial grade databases, right? So they're looking to get started on this journey. So let's say if you're looking for homogeneous, they might look at for one version to the major version upgrade, or might be heterogeneous. Might be, let's say, for example, somebody is trying to migrate from commercial grade to something like, let's say, MySQL on Cloud SQL, right? Because of cost effectiveness, right? So we need to understand what is the source, what is the target, but how to get started. So we typically start with assessment and discovery phase, try to understand the landscape and all those details. And then we get started to understand what is the complexity, especially very useful when you're trying to for heterogeneous. For example, let's say somebody is migrating from on-prem SQL Server to MySQL on Cloud SQL, or might be something else to Postgres on the Cloud SQL as a managed service. So we need to understand, like, what is the complexity, what is the typical proprietary features they have on the current, that specific commercial grade databases, and how those challenges can be mitigated. So once that is done, I think you have sorted out most of the things. I know there is a migration, still the complex activity there, but this part has to be covered well. Otherwise, you end up spending a lot of time going back and forth, and that is you nothing but your unsuccessful migration story. So after that, we give you tools for homogeneous migration. Google Cloud has got database migration service at no cost. That is zero cost to our customers and users, where they can easily get started. And it's very easy to use, being serverless again, because our approach has been primarily developer focused, because the developers love this serverless approach and fully managed approach, right? They want to focus more on the productive work rather than the operator work, right? Infrastructure work. So being serverless, you can easily get streamlined on hide away or abstract away the complexities, typically the networking complexities, and typically the streamlining the migration process, and they're looking for an online minimal downtime migration. So a database migration service can give you that help, and then easily you can flip over when the replication lag is zero between source and target at the target side, and it might be redesigning the architecture with HA and DR and all those things. But for the heterogeneous migration, we have a strong partner ecosystem where there are a lot of tools we rely on. As a result, we can help you. And of course, we try to mitigate the cost aspect as well, so that our customers can really benefit the world-class features of the databases we talked about while they embark on Google Cloud.
So the icing on the cake is it is making the life of the customers easy, and there are various third-party services that are available and all. So that definitely is going to boost the businesses and give them an opportunity to explore the migration to the cloud environment, which is much faster and easy to manage. That's awesome. So Pritam, this has been wonderful conversation so far, but let's add some spice to the episode. I would like to ask you a few interesting rapid fire questions in case if you are ready.
Yeah, I hope it's not a tough one, Naveen.
Not really. We won't put you guys on the spot, and it's just to let our audience know the other side of the speaker, and you can answer them very briefly. All right. So with that, let me fire the first bullet out of the rapid fire. And Pritam, who would you want to be reborn as?
Probably I would like to be reborn as Pritam again. I like my version because I'm very lucky to have my family members and my friends, honestly. But yeah, I look up onto few of the leaders, right? Like I love leaders like Elon Musk, Jack Ma, and of course my mom, who has been a strong support for me entire journey, and of course my better half, my wife. So I want to be born as a Pritam, but with a strong aspiration and learnings from the folks like Elon Musk and Jack Ma, of course.
Wow, that's very nice. All right, so let me fire the second bullet. What is your favorite failure?
Yeah, this is really a tough one, but honestly, I started liking my failures after thinking like, okay, a lot of learnings from failures has to happen, right? So one of my failure was I got embarked as a database person in one of the org. I would not like to name the org, of course, and it was a good learning experience as well. So I was asked to handle the mobile device management approach solution as an implementation rather. I was not aware of the solution because new to that ecosystem, right? So only thing I was handed over was I think I don't collect the pages of documentation I was handled. Go through it and get it started and see if you can solve the problem. So I took it a challenge, but within 5 days the problem was sorted. But yeah, it was a massive adventurous journey because very less knowledge, I would say 2-3% of knowledge about the topic, but with a good amount of peoples you had in that ecosystem, I could solve that. So it's always about identify the problem rather than solving the problem that you will get you started.
Identify the problem and understand it better so that it can be resolved very easily. Awesome.
Yeah.
So profound. With that, let me move on to my next question. So, Pritam, can you share with our audience the hidden talent that no one knows about you?
So I always get fancied by the YouTubers and lot of aspirations. So I always have aspiration to get started on a YouTube channel of my own. One day I don't know when the day will come, especially on the thriller stories and the horror stuff. So this is what I like as well, apart from my technology aspiration and learnings.
Absolutely. I think that is a good space to venture into because content generation and content entrepreneurship is on its way, irrespective of whether you have a day job or not. Still, someone has their own way of representing and creating a brand for themselves, and wish you all the very best on that. All right. So let's move on to the next question. What has been a question on your mind for which you never got an answer for?
Yeah, so this question keeps buzzing me every day as well. So the question is, what will I do if I get disrupted in IT, in the technology space? Because the technology is evolving quite fast, right? And with the cloud in this picture, the technology, every day you see a lot of services coming out and you want to get upskilled. So this keeps me slightly thinking like what I can do better. But it's still a good area where that provides the motivation. Yeah, Pritam, you have to not alone. It's not the end. Keep learning so that you do well in the IT space.
Very interesting. Now let me fire the last bullet out of the rapid fire. What is one message that you would like to give to your own younger version?
Yeah, I would say always believe in yourself. There might be failures, but own your failure, which I've realized I didn't do in my earlier years of my IT tenure. If you own that failure, learn from those failures, then success will come. And don't follow after success. I would say always follow after excellence, because excellence guarantees success and success cannot guarantee excellence. That would I term. And always try to learn, unlearn, and relearn if required. And always believe in hard work, and also believe in hard work in the sense like people would say smart work and all those this to me it's always the hard work 60%, 40% smart work. Use those mechanism. If that resonates well with you, you get started, and don't follow the imposter syndrome, because it's whenever you start something new, this is going to haunt you for a while. Just hold on your thoughts and believe in yourself and get started.
That's a wonderful set of thoughts. All right. So after that amazing rapid fire session, let me flip back to the mainstream and ask you final question for this conversation. So what will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
Yeah, so I would say, like Naveen, believe in yourself, do whatever it takes, and of course, take feedback from the right side of leaders you have in your team or cross-functional team. Doesn't matter. Keep learning, and if required, learn, unlearn, and relearn. That should be the mantra. And of course, to have a strong foundation, have those little bit of hard work, commitment is there, must required. And of course, you can notch it with like icing on a cake with a smart work. So I would say, if you have this approach, you are bound towards excellence.
Believe in yourself and take the feedback from the leaders, not only from your own area, but also cross functionally. So, which is a kind of 360-degree assessment. And in addition to that, never stop learning and demonstrate commitment. Such a profound set of thoughts. So, Pritam, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to discuss about how the databases are driving successful applications, and we have covered a lot of aspects related to the databases, right from relational, non-relational, structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, and also nuances about Google offerings and how can someone approach the migration from on-prem databases to the cloud databases using Google support and all. So it was a fabulous conversation. Thank you so much again for being part of TGV's journey in shaping the lives and careers of millions across the globe.
Thanks, Naveen. It's a really good initiative you guys have started, and it's really going to help the community and, of course, everyone who is going to really benefit from such initiatives you guys have embarked on.
Thank you so much for the kind words. And definitely, we are on a mission to shape the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And we will reach there with the support of experts like you. Thanks again. And it was an absolute pleasure hosting you, Pritam.
Thank you.
So, folks, before we move into trivia section, here is a request to all of you. In case if you have loved this episode and found it useful, request you to share this with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can get benefit from TGV. Because the more you share, the wider we reach and we'll get closer to our mission of reaching millions across the globe. Thank you so much in advance. All right. So now let's hop on to the trivia segment of today's episode. And today's trivia is about first website ever launched in the history. So here comes my question. Who launched the very first website? I know you're thinking, but let me reveal you the answer. It is the CERN. It stands for European Council for Nuclear Research. Is the company which launched the very first website. So, in fact, it was proposed by British scientist Tim Berners-Lee, who actually invented WWW, the World Wide Web. And it was in the March 1989, the World Wide Web was invented as a means of sharing information between scientists. But now, without World Wide Web, nothing can move forward in the world. However, talking about the history, within a year and a half, by the time this Berners-Lee has built the web's early infrastructure, including the hypertext transfer protocol, the HTTP, and the HTML, the first website was hosted for employees of Berners-Lee's Next Computer at CERN's Geneva headquarters on December 20, 1990. And before it was publicly announced through alt.hypertext Usenet posting on August 6, 1991. So just to sum it up, Berners-Lee was the person who was behind launching the first website on behalf of CERN, and CERN is the company or the institution that launched the first ever website. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you so much for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. We are signing off for today. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest.